What's up guys, Ken here from Cerberus USA. So haven't done any YouTube stuff for a long time. I have a new media guy that we're going to be working with. He's coming into town for a couple days on Wednesday, today's Sunday, and we're going to film an absolute ton of content. So if you haven't subscribed to the channel, subscribe to the channel, do the notification bell and all that jazz, and we will have a lot coming for you very soon. So kicking off this new content with a question and answer, I put this out on my Instagram, I think it was last Sunday, so about a week ago. I was planning on filming this a bit earlier in the week, but business and life just sort of caught up, so finally getting around to it now. This will be out hopefully Tuesday, so if you are watching this, then happy Tuesday. So I got a bunch of questions, let's just get straight into it. First one: just tore my bicep, any advice post-surgery for training protocol? So if you don't know, I have torn my bicep in the past. I tore my distal tendon in my left arm in 2012, and about a week ago, I tore my proximal tendon in the left arm. So I now have a nice big divot where the bicep should be. So I'm coming back from this right now too. I'm assuming he's probably torn his distal tendon, which is the one which is typically surgically repaired, because that's what I had done with mine. So, and then with my proximal, that will not be repaired. That'll just be a case of let it scar down and go from there. So, advice on bicep tendon recovery. The first thing I can say is don't rush it. That's by far the biggest piece of advice I can possibly give. Do not rush the recovery. If you don't let it scar down and heal properly, with my surgery, they use a thing called an endo button, where they basically drill into the bone, put this through, which then flips down so it can't come back out, and that's what the tendon's attached to, and then the bone forms around it and all that sort of stuff. So if you don't let that actually heal properly, you're running the risk of a re-rupture. Jeez, that's a fucking tongue twister. So if you don't let it heal properly, you run that risk. Now for me, I competed about 6-7 months after my bicep tendon, and we were pretty good then. I mean, you're typically looking, a lot of the time you're looking about 12 to 14 weeks post-surgery is what they say typically for actual, get back active, but then, you're not actually fully recovered for, a good portion of time. And then you can have complications as well. So with mine, they moved the nerve when they reattached it, so my part of my hand was numb for a year, which then obviously plays into other problems. So the first thing I can say, don't rush it. That's the biggest thing. After that, definitely take it slow. Really start building up slowly, and obviously talk to your surgeon. That's the big one. Talk to your surgeon. If you've got a physical therapist, work with them as well. But don't rush the recovery. Take it slow. When you are recovering from the surgery, train your other side. So if you've torn your left arm, do a bunch of stuff with your right side. There's studies that show if you keep active on your opposite side, then it slows down the muscle loss on the recovering side. So when I did mine, I was doing and I just did a lot of machines, honestly, but I did a ton of stuff, tons of volume, tons of reps, tons of sets, very light. And then with this arm, when we started getting back into it, it was very similar, but you're slowly building in the flexion, and you're going to have full range of motion at that point in time. But you definitely don't want to overload that bicep straight out the gate because it's now undertrained. A bunch of curls if you can, depending on your what your surgeon has you in. If he has you in a what's it called, in a brace, just moving that arm a little bit, and then even just passively, holding your arm with your other hand, moving it, and then doing eccentrics, that sort of stuff. But when you get back into it, take it slow. Seriously, take it slow. Remember that you've now had that arm not functioning fully for 2, 3, 4 months maybe. So yeah, just take it slow and really just be careful. Don't run the risk of rupturing it again because you want to compete very soon. Now I had the Arnold coming up, so I pushed my recovery hard. Luckily, it was okay, but just be aware that things can happen. So take it slowly, and then in the meantime, train your legs like crazy. You know, safety bar is a wonderful thing. Use a safety bar. You know, just build your lower half as much as you possibly can. You know, build your abs, build all the things you can possibly build without actively firing that arm. For me, you know, I targeted my lower back with the safety bar, tons of good mornings. You know, I never invested in it when I had my surgery, but now you can get like the straps, like the deadlift straps, where it goes over the bar and you can put it on your back, use that. But yeah, like just become a bit sort of creative, but try and make sure that you're not firing this arm. That's going to be the main factor. So I don't want to go into tons of do's and don'ts because I'm not a medical professional, but for me, took it slow, train my opposite side, and then train my legs a bunch with the safety bar. So, you know, following on from that, how am I looking for my bicep recovery? How long is my recovery and all that sort of stuff? So with mine, it's a different situation than my first one. Because it's proximal head, they're not going to do a surgical intervention. They're not going to reattach it. They will, but because there's so much going on up in that glenohumeral and that shoulder joint, they run the risk of causing other issues. One of my friends in Colorado, he tore his. The surgeon says, no, we can reattach it, but the problem is, if you do, and you know, say we nick a nerve or something of that extent, you run the risk of losing the use of your hand. So obviously, that's not something I want to risk. So for mine, it's just a lot of it's pain management right now. A lot of it's going to be a case of seeing how it reacts to certain things. The pain has definitely gone down, but so it's a double-edged sword. The pain's gone down, but because the pain's gone down, I'm less cognizant of being careful. So, you know, I was playing with the dog the other day and I went to pull the toy out of its mouth and I pulled like this and it lit me up. Now, it didn't do any damage to it, but it was just sore as all hell. So for my recovery, it's hard to say how long it's going to take for this to be back reattached and all that sort of stuff. We are still prepping for OSG. I believe we're pulling deadlift this week. Last week was just squat. But you know, it's been day 8 since surgery, or day 7 since I tore it. It was last Saturday. So I'm hoping that within a month I'll be damn near pain free. We're still going to train through it, so that could, you know, increase that time period. Who knows? But for the most part, it's just going to be a case of deal with the pain and keep, you know, charging ahead to OSG. Number 3, look what we got here. Favorite state to compete in. That's a hard one because, I mean, you know, you go to contests and you don't see anything. You know, like I've been to Indiana a number of times. That was always fun because it was a Giants live contest, so you saw a little bit more and it was a bit more, what was the word? Free, if that makes sense, versus going to a contest being in a exhibition center. For me, when I first started competing in the States, when I was still living in Scotland doing the Arnold Classic amateur, 2010, 11, 12, and 13 before I moved here, I always enjoyed that because it was different from back home, just a different setup, a different, you know, different vibe. You know, the Arnold was such a massive contest, and it still is a massive contest. But you know, you're coming from Scotland and you're coming to the States, and you've got just a different dynamic, different culture, people, all that stuff. So for me, if I had to pick anything from competing in the States, it's probably going to be Columbus, Ohio, Arnold Classic. Aside from that, it's been like, you know, I've competed in Reno, I've competed in Davenport, Florida, but they've all been arena shows. So it's been like, you know, you fly in, you compete, you head out. So if I had to pick one, because I was there for a prolonged length of time, it's definitely going to be Arnold Classic in Columbus, Ohio. Number 4, okay, when peaking for max reps, should training be only high reps or some maxes too? So, great question. Now you got to think, when you're training for a max reps at a contest, what are you, like what energy system are you using? Well, it's not an all-out max. It's basically anaerobic. It's your anaerobic cardio capacity. So for me, I'm not going to max. I'm not going to lift near maximal. If contest weight is, I don't know, let's say 600 pound deadlift, and I can pull 800, I'm not going anywhere near 8. I'm more than likely not even going near 7. I'm just going to be training at that capacity. We had one in Iowa where it was what was it? It was a weird event. It was a deadlift. It was a dumbbell press and a deadlift medley. So it was basically a one-arm deadlift. So he was basically picking up a farmer's handle. So for that, we did it where we're trying to build my capacity. We're trying to build as many reps as possible in a short length of time. So we eventually did it where it was a case of like multiple sets of 45 seconds, multiple sets of 30 seconds. I think we maybe went to a minute, maybe. But it was like, okay, what can we get in 45 seconds? And go from there. So it's like, basically you're trying to blast yourself in 45 seconds. Then if you still have time, which obviously you do if you're going for a minute, you can then try and get some extra ones when you're depleted and all that sort of stuff, and you can slow down a little bit. But for me, I'm only doing reps, but multiple sets, a lot of volume. I'd be going nowhere near max weights or trying to max out or anything of that nature. I mean, it just realistically defeats the purpose of what you're training for. Now, if you're training at a contest and you've got, a max log and then a deadlift for reps, obviously you're gonna try and peak your log for that max, but then your deadlift's gonna be all lower level, just cardio based. So hopefully that sort of clears that up. I mean, realistically, just train for what you're doing. Train for the event at hand. You'll get some people who will go in and be, oh well, I have to hit contest weight, or I have to hit over contest weight to know I'm strong enough, or whatever. It doesn't matter. Like if you're going in and you're hitting 700 pound deadlift for reps and you're hitting 5 in 30 seconds, but you got 600 for a minute, you sort of defeated yourself already, because just because you can pull 700 for 5 in 30 seconds doesn't necessarily then mean then you can go and pull 8 or 9 or 10 at 660, because you've not trained that length of time. Or you'll have people who come in and be like, oh well, I'm going to hit, my yoke at contest is 800 pounds for 50 feet. I'm going to run 1,000 for 50 feet. You're defeating the purpose yet again, because now you've trained for a heavy yoke for 50 feet where you're slow. And it doesn't mean that when you go into an 800 now that you're going to be lightning fast. You've now trained yourself to be slow essentially because you've been training heavy. So hopefully that helps. You can see we're running long on time, so let's do one more. Okay, since it's Cerberus related, let's do this one. New products coming up. What can I tell you? So you've probably seen the muscle rubs. Those will be here soon. I'm trying to think what else I can tell you. So those will hopefully be here soon. I believe they're becoming available to us as distributors beginning of this week. So they may be on the way to me by the time this goes live. Aside from that, we've got our deadlift bars, squat bars, power bars, and safety bars. Those are en route to us right now. Those should hopefully be with us first couple of weeks of September, hopefully. What else? Throwbags. Throwbags have been out of stock now for about a month, I think. The manufacturing is done. They are on the way to us. I'm trying to think when. They should hopefully be with us, mid to late September. I'm trying to think what else there is. I'm trying what I can and can't talk about. I think that's all I can talk about. Okay, another one would be the supplements. If you've been on the UK site, you'll see that they've got an extreme pre-workout, they've got a whey isolate. So those are starting to be, samples are starting to be manufactured of those. So those will hopefully be with us once I get the flavors done. I'm hoping for, I would like in October. So we'll see. Aside from that, I don't think there's anything I can release publicly right now. Neoprene shorts will be back in September as well. Yeah, I think that's it. I think. Anyway, this is getting on. I will leave it there. Plan moving forward will be trying to get content out on Tuesday for definite. Hopefully a second video each Friday. As I said, working with a new media guy, so he's in town for a couple of days, and we're going to hit it hard, trying to get as much content produced as possible. It's going to be how-to videos, training sessions, maybe how-tos with our gears, like short how-tos, like the elbow sleeve one I put up the other day. If you have anything that you want to, you know, have me cover, talk about, whatever, please put it in the comments below. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe, and I will catch you down the road. Thanks.